Hello everyone, my name is Elisa and I own a brick-and-mortar vintage store in Cleveland, Ohio called Moonstruck Vintage. We're located in Cleveland's historic Little Italy neighborhood and I've been there, well, I'm in my 10th year now, so I've been there for a while. Very often people ask me about my business and the behind the scenes of how I procure things and what it takes to really run a business like that. So I thought I'd start a video series here on YouTube talking about some of those things and just giving you a little background and behind the scenes of how the business is run. This is my first video, so I'm new at this, so be patient and please feel free to place any questions you might have in the comments, and if I point out something that I think might be interesting to you, I'll also try to link those things in the comments as well. So here we go. Today I'm going to touch on the subject of how I source my vintage items. In particular, my clothing and accessories, because that's our number one category in our store. That's the one thing that we sell the most of, is vintage clothing. And we've also added over time some pre-owned items that are more contemporary but still have something special about them. They usually always are nice quality and in very good condition, or they're just really unique in some way. So we're always thinking about those things as we're sourcing. Now you'll hear me say we a lot, but for the most part I do all the sourcing for the store. No, for the full part of it all I do myself. So anyway, the point is I don't get to source a lot. I have a lot of back stock. No, I'm not buying right now, and no, I'm not taking donations, though those are two of the most common questions I get asked all the time. So, but when I do need some things, and very often it's on a weekly basis that I source, I am very particular about what I pick up and what I'm looking for. As I said, I have back stock of a lot of inventory, so when I'm shopping for things that kind of really jump out at me. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about some sourcing I did when I was home in New York State with my family for the holidays. That's where I'm from originally, from a small town in central New York called Johnstown. It's in the Leatherstocking region, also on the outskirts of the Adirondack Mountains in the Capital District, if anyone's familiar with New York State. So when I go home to visit my family, I also try to get a little sourcing done there as well. Very often when I am shopping, I'm looking to keep my prices very fair and reasonable. And I think that's one of our strong suits at the store, is that the pricing is fair. And the way I do that is by buying very low. So keep my margins nice and comfortable for me to make a living, but also to give my customers a deal. So when I shop, I typically shop at thrift stores, occasionally church sales, estate sales, garage sales. Occasionally I'll get a private buy, but I'm very particular about those as well because I'm really limited on storage space. So I have to really be conscientious about it. I can't take in a lot of merchandise because most of what I sell is in the store, but then any backstock I have is in my house. So I try to manage that carefully so I'm not overrun by stuff. So when I went home for the holidays to visit my family, which was lovely, I don't get much of a break because I'm primarily the only person in the store, running the store, with the help of a couple of very dear friends. So when I get some time away, it's pretty precious, and I really try to make the best of it. So when I was home, I visited two thrift stores in actually Gloversville, New York, which is a sister city to Johnstown, New York. And yes, they were known for making gloves. That's why it's called Gloversville. And my grandparents, who are depicted on my business card, worked in glove making. So they actually lived in Johnstown, and Johnstown was also known for their glove making. So, that's what you did. That's how people made a living back then. So my grandmother sewed gloves. My grandfather was what you call cutter. So he would cut out patterns in leather or fabric, and usually the fabrics and the leathers were stacked up really high, and they had a machine that would actually go in and cut out the patterns. So, but they both worked in that industry, as did other people that were in my family and friends. So it was pretty cool. Sorry, that was a bit of a rabbit hole. But anyway, so when I was sourcing, I went to the Salvation Army in Gloversville. And also there's a church thrift store there. And I apologize, I don't remember the exact name of the store, but I will put it in the comments below. I will link it there. But it's a store that's a traditional church thrift store with some lovely volunteers that work there, and they've just recently rehabbed the store. They do a really nice job. Everything's very tidy and organized. So those are the two places that I purchased items. And just to give you a background on how I actually go about selecting my items, I'm always looking for vintage primarily. So to me, vintage clothing is 20 years or older. So that starts in the early 2000s and back. Now, I also am always looking for, as I mentioned earlier, contemporary clothing that's in very good condition, high quality, unique, and offer something that maybe is a good fit with vintage clothing. So you'll see a mix of things, but like I said, I'm always looking for vintage. I've come to a place in my business where I do not, sorry about that, I do not pick up projects. So that's the other thing I'm looking for. I'm looking for condition also. So I will sew on an occasional button or, add a little hook and eye, sew up a tiny little pull in a seam. But I no longer pick up projects. I find that they just pile up in my storage and don't get taken care of. So for me, for my place, my business right now, since I'm doing this primarily solo, I stick with items that don't require a lot of cleaning and a lot of repair. So I do clean all my items, and I'm planning to do another video about how I go about doing that. So I clean them to the best of my ability, keeping it within a pretty close budget, because the more I spend on cleaning, the more I have to charge for an item. So again, I'm trying to keep my prices really fair. But that's a future video. We'll talk about cleaning. But I'm always looking at those things as well. So it has to be relatively in great shape. No, really great shape. So no holes, no dramatic tears, rips, pulls, fading, even a blown out hem on a skirt or dress, I typically will pass by because that's a little bit more sewing than I want to do. So I'm looking for condition, I'm looking for quality. Certain brands really catch my attention. I'm looking for fabric content. I love natural fabrics such as wool, silk, linen, cotton, denim, etc. And then I'm also looking again for the age or period of the item. And lastly, I'm looking for anything that really catches my eye and I think my customer would be really drawn to, or would be a really cool item to put in my window, for instance, which is a big way people find me, is by driving by or walking by and seeing our windows. So I'm going to show you a few examples of things I picked up. I was really focused on jackets, blazers primarily. There seems to be a hot trend right now in blazers in all fashion areas. So I was focused on that, and I happened to find some really lovely pieces. I'll start by showing you this jacket. It's a little bit of a crop. It has like a tapestry fabric, really nice, heavy quality. It's like a brown on black design. these spectacular buttons. I don't know if you can see, but they're faceted. Okay, so again, it's not super old, and you'll see that I'm always looking at the tags as well. So this is called Habitat. This probably fits into that. It's a category of clothing called lag and look or art to wear. So it might have been a very small boutique type business that made this jacket. So you can really see the quality is beautiful. And when I say quality, it's the weight of the fabric, it's the quality of the buttons, it's the seams, it's the label on the collar, it's all these things that I'm looking at. I also found this really great Oleg Cassini jacket. Again, it's a cute little crop top. It has a bit of I would say a medium shoulder pad. I'm guessing this is probably a 90s jacket, perhaps. It could be a little earlier, maybe the 80s, but I just thought it was super cool. Very elegant, great with denim, great for the office, really cool piece. And then I found this gray jacket, super perfect for a menswear vibe. There's the label on it. It's fully lined. Another sign of quality is that there's a lining. Always check inside the jacket on the jackets that are lined. Make sure that the inside of the armpit is not torn or blown out, because that very often happens. And that's a repair I don't do either. So I always kind of look inside, look at the lining, and make sure the lining is intact. I'm also kind of always sniffing and smelling my items that I pick up. Again, if there's a real distinct smell, something that I can't get rid of easily, I feel, then I'm going to probably pass on it. This is probably one of my favorite pickups from this shopping tour. It's Pendleton. Pendleton is really cool. Label, obviously, super high quality, beautiful, 100% wool plaid, absolutely adorable cropped jacket, little pockets on the front. I'm guessing it could be 1960s. The next thing I would probably do is I would take that label. There's a great website that gives you historical information on clothing labels, and I will link that below. I use it quite often, but it helps me date a piece more precisely, especially something like Pendleton, which is a very popular brand. But their styles also don't change significantly over the years, so that's why checking on the label information helps you kind of pinpoint when that item was actually made. But again, fully lined, beautiful buttons, strong, seams, and no issues, no flea bites, no moth bites or moth holes. Yeah, so looks like it was hardly ever worn. This is another favorite thing that I picked up. This is a patchwork menswear style blazer. Very cool. Again, based on the label, and this is something you pick up over time where you start to kind of recognize trends and labels and how they were created, the fonts that were used, etc. This one was actually made in Russia, which I thought was very interesting. I don't see that a lot, but it's perfect for the menswear vibe. It has this really cool velvet collar. Yeah, and a zipper front. Again, fully lined. Everything's in great working condition. Always check your zippers. This has a zipper closure on the front. That's another thing I do not do, is I do not repair zippers. In the beginning of my business, I used to do all those types of repairs or pay to have them done. And what I'm finding is it just does not pay, because then it changes significantly the retail price of the item. And then you have too much invested, and it just doesn't seem to pay off in the end. So I thought that was super cool. And I did pick up two other items that I'll show you that were not in the jacket category. This super cute crop style knit vest. this one. It just feels like thick knit, super adorable style. Again, calling back to that menswear look. And this really, fashion has really, the lines have all been blurred. Menswear, women's wear. But when I say it's a menswear vibe, it's just the traditional menswear vibe. And you can just feel it's super soft. I don't think it's wool, but I think it's a really nicely made, high quality, really cute buttons. So I picked that up. And one last thing here, as I found this really beautiful, it's handmade wool plaid skirt, really full dirndl style, so it's really fully gathered around the waist. I thought the plaid itself was really gorgeous. Again, no moth holes, no fraying, no damage whatsoever. The zipper works. It had snap closure, and I can tell it's been handmade. So handmade items are really special too. I love picking up handmade items. Of course, vintage items are very often handmade because people were making more of their clothing. But it's a nice, thick wool, not itchy, a soft wool. So I think it's a higher quality. That's just how I think of it in my head. And handmade, and somebody paid a lot of attention to the detail on this one, so they did a beautiful job. Okay, moving on. I also, and I won't take too much time on this, but we sell a ton of vintage scarves. And ideally, the first thing I look for in vintage scarves is the pattern, the colors, and in a perfect world, it's silk. And if it's silk, we're going to charge a little bit more for it. This is really fun. This is not super old, but it is silk, which is cool. Marilyn Monroe scarf. So I sell a ton of scarves. They're great for tying around your neck, in your hair, on your bag, wherever you want to. Tuck it in a pocket. But the most important thing with scarves is make sure it's not stained. Make sure it doesn't smell too much of the woman's perfume, which that's a really common thing. Perfume smells are really hard to get out. And I don't necessarily wash these things. I steam everything. But it's really hard to get those perfume smells out and any stains, especially if it's silk. But, they're just fun for the most part. And the next thing I'm going to share with you is I was lucky enough to find a bunch of bags. And we do sell a lot of bags. In particular, leather, but any kind of cool bag really pays off. Here's a really beautiful evening bag. Really sweet little beaded bag. Really cool the way the handles are attached. Beaded bags are wonderful. Some people just collect them for the sake of collecting them, and then a lot of people do use them. I'd say this is probably 1960s, early 70s, just really sweet, perfect for a bride or anyone out for the evening. I also found this 1960s bag, really cute. It's not leather, but it has that patent leather look, and it's cute. The strap actually can be an over-the-shoulder or a top handle. When I bring these into the store, I stuff them with paper so they can keep their shape, and it makes a ton of difference. I also found this adorable little tapestry bag, super cute. And then I found a few leather pieces, and that's probably one of our most popular styles of bags. This is an Italian-made leather bag, has a long shoulder strap. Some people might be able to use it as a crossbody, but super utilitarian, nice, heavy, thick leather. I also found this backpack, beautiful backpack, broken in perfectly, just some nice, deep wear on the leather, which makes it super soft. With leather, I'm just making sure that there aren't too many stains or things that I can't get out, or I can't spend a lot of time trying to get out. So as long, I don't mind the wear and the break-in, but it has to be clean, especially inside. And the other thing that's a little tricky to get out is any pen marks. This one is clean. There is a label in there. Not sure what that is. But this one's wonderful. Nice and slouchy, 100% leather. And then this final one here is suede. Again, I don't mind it showing some wear on the bottom. I don't want it to be, you know, like stained with any sort of hand lotion or cream or perfume or pen marks, that kind of thing. But I do love it when they're broken in. So this is a really great little tote. Super soft, beautiful suede and leather handles. So, and I have a few more things, and then I'll kind of wrap it up today. But I have a bunch of hand knitted items. Scarves. I love picking up these hand knit pieces. Somebody put a lot of heart and soul into those. It's a ton of work. My grandmother was a crocheter, both my grandmothers, and I just appreciate, you know, how much work goes into knitting, crocheting, and any sort of handcrafted work, embroidery, and so on. So when I see those things, I tend to pick them up. Other people value them as well. So that is it. So that's pretty much, there was several other things in this selection of stuff that I picked up when I was in New York. Some of them were more hard goods or home decor goods. Those things have already been processed, cleaned and processed and priced and inventoried and put out in the store. I wanted to mainly focus on the clothing and the accessories. This is our, like I said, this is our top category. Because I hand pick most everything, you know, it takes time, it takes a lot of work, and I'm always on the hunt for really special pieces. So again, I wish I could take in more things, but it seems like I can only bring in what I can process and put out in the store at any given time. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of how I look for things, what I'm looking for. I absolutely love leather goods, love hand knit, hand worked items, love natural fabrics, silks, wools, linens, cottons, that type of thing. Jackets are kind of hot right now. But yeah, so that's it. So I hope that gives you some insight. I just wanted to take a little time and share with you my thought process. And I'm hoping to do more of these videos. So if you have anything specific you're interested in knowing about, let me know. You know, in terms of pricing, I buy very low. Like, none of these things probably cost more than $5 or $6. So I need to keep my costs really low so that I can pass on the savings to the customer. Occasionally I buy more or pay more, but that's when it's pretty unique and special. And, you know, I'm willing to do that. It's just that I like to turn things over pretty quickly. So in order to do that, I need to keep the prices very fair and accessible to people. So that's it for now. Thanks so much for tuning in if you have, and hopefully I'll be getting a little smoother at this process as I go along. But again, please, any questions, any topics you'd like me to cover, put those in the comments below. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.